What's Happening in These Streets is a program designed and created to talk with the unknown soldiers of yours and my community. Their gifts has been rewarding to the old and new by providing sources and resources to fulfill the needs of the people. You can find me at basementpartysociety.com BPS Live Video. Take time to view as you learn about what's happening in these streets. I'm on location at the Little Five Points Community Center with my guest, Silas Alexander, aka Sign Man, and we're talking today about growing up in the game as a commercial DJ in the city of Atlanta, all the way from Macon, Georgia. Welcome to What's Happening in These Streets, Sign Man.
Appreciate it. You doing all right?
Doing well. Also, I want to know, just go ahead and get into the interview. I would like to know a little bit of your history as far as your radio career, how your career started.
First of all, I was always that kid who wanted to, who had a little tape recorder, running around elementary school, recording everybody, asking them questions, interviewing them just like people on TV. Mm-hmm. And that, stayed with me. It was something I always wanted to do. By the time I got to high school, there was a guy named David Sykes. He worked down at the radio station in my hometown of Eatonton, Georgia, which is about 40 miles from Macon. And so I was talking to David one day, and he said, "You know what? I wanna be in radio." And it was a country station. Okay. It wasn't nothing really, but I just wanted to be in radio. So he worked it out, talked to folks, got me a little part-time gig over there. And then I was able to do a work-study where I could go after school or come to school late after going to the radio station in the morning. So that was the beginning. And then after that, got a job in Milledgeville, then two or three in Macon, radio jobs. Moved on up to Athens, where I was trying to go to school at UGA, and worked at WXAG. Met people like Michael Thurman, who's the CEO of DeKalb County right now. Mm-hmm. And then in 1988, I moved to WIGO in Atlanta. Oh. And from there, went around the city. WIGO, KISS 104, V103, KISS 104, and Radio 1.
Magic. Very interesting career process. Also, I'd like to know, working as a radio announcer, and you were engaged with so many different artists to come through from the time period. I know for me will be like 1974 up until current day. So my question to you is, what artist gave you satisfaction to break their records? Who was the most humblest artist that you encountered when they were able to get their hit record?
Well, by the time I got in the radio game, that whole process had changed. If you think about movies like Coal Miner's Daughter, where you see Loretta Lynn go into the radio station with her husband, Du, and they talk to the DJ, and the DJ puts them on. That was like in the 50s, in the early 60s. But by the time I got on the radio in 1980, control was a different thing. Okay. Control was an issue. So the program directors and general managers and music directors were the ones that controlled what music got played on the station. So I had no influence in what music got played, new music anyway. Right. So I can't break any new artists. Right. Okay. It was out of my hands. But, I found one of my biggest successes when I was on KISS 104, not breaking new artists, but playing old school that nobody else played. Did a show called Blue Lights in the Basement House Party. And when I did that, I was able to carve a niche for myself. But new artists back in the day was a different story.
Okay, so that was more like what I know, non-commercial was more favorable to the announcers because they had more creativity
Right.
in how the program was produced compared to commercial with the GM and those people making the call.
Right.
So, with that being said, have you ever wanted to do something musical after years of broadcasting music?
I'm not really a musical player. Like, for instance, when I was in high school, I played drums and percussion. And I've always been that person who, after that, it wasn't something I knew I was going to be able to do professionally. So a lot of people have always come to me and asked how they can get into the music business. I'm like, there's a difference. You have to break it down and explain it to them. Commercial radio doesn't sell music.
Right.
We use music to attract people. It's like a bait and switch. We sell commercials.
Right, exactly.
So we sell in car dealerships and stores and sales and concerts and events and things like that.
Exactly.
That's what I sell. That's my focus.
So the carrot would be to tune in. The carrot would be the giveaways.
Right. We give you a giveaway, and the giveaways also come from the advertisers.
Exactly.
And they are another form of advertising. So, we'd always have some people come up and say, well, I'll give you some free tickets, just give them away on the air. It's like, no, it don't work like that either.
Yeah.
You got to buy a $5,000 or $10,000 schedule.
Whoa.
And give me some tickets.
Well.
Because every time I mention your show, that's a free ad for your show.
Exactly.
Even if I just say, stand by, we got some Mays and Frankie Beverly tickets coming up. Well, it's like, okay, if you didn't know they were coming, now you know they're coming. And when I give them away, I'm going to tell you that the show is coming up and give you the date and give you the location and all that information and tell you how you can win those tickets. So every giveaway is a bigger ad than the commercial that they put together for it.
Yeah, because you got all these numbers of people listening at this particular hour to win
And trying to
the
win
tickets.
Yeah.
And that increases the number for the show at that given time.
At least you hope so.
Okay.
At least you hope so. So yeah. So I'm not a music person, and I've also always been that person that didn't necessarily connect with artists or try to connect with artists personally.
Okay.
A lot of people try to get their personal information so I can follow up with you later, and after our interview, we're done.
And I believe that it's like you shut it down, right?
Right.
And take it to the house.
Because some you were brought here to promote an event,
Right.
a book,
Okay.
a song release, or something or other. After we talk about that, I don't have any business calling you.
Okay.
So I have never been that person that really follows up with people.
Okay. So, did you find enjoyment in radio?
Oh yeah. Radio has always been a lot of fun for me. You reach out to people and connect with them, and share stories and share when people get engaged and when they're happy, and birthdays and special events. We all in our backyard. The such and such family is having a reunion, and all those things were great. I had a couple of instances though that when I was early in the game, when I was in Edenton, where I learned that you can't put everything on that people call in, or if they do, let them put it on.
Right. Okay.
Record their voice saying it. Don't you say it.
Okay.
Because one example is this man called. A young lady called, and she said, I want to give a shout out to me and my baby daddy and our brand new baby such and such. I'm like, okay, cool. So I give them all a shout out. Well, Edenton's a small town.
Right.
The man called me. Man, she said that's my baby. That ain't none of my baby, man. My wife. I'm like, okay, so I ain't got it all twisted up in the game. So I learned from that if somebody says something like that can cause a reaction,
Exactly.
put their voice on it.
And because
Not mine.
it could have went another way where he could have been a violent person.
Oh,
like,
yeah, he could have come down.
Yeah, like one time I was on the air here at WRFG where we're shooting this right now, and one of my listeners, I don't know, with just something about my show that drew the people in. And the type of music I was playing was jazz, and this young lady called in who was suicidal. And I'm like, what? You know, and so I'm freaking out because I'm only 20 in my first experience. So I'm like, okay, what can I do? Just give her an 800 number and let her deal with that and kind of like not dismiss it, but kind of ease it out of the telephone call.
I remember too, when I was working at V103 in Atlanta, along those same lines, there was a mother who had 2 boys, and she was living under a bridge.
Oh, okay.
And she called me and she said, I'm thinking about killing myself, so that maybe somebody can take my boys and raise them better than I can, because we all under this bridge. And my words to her were, you know, those are your boys. You run the risk of somebody else getting your boys. They may abuse them. I say, you don't know if somebody's going to separate them, you know, if they'll grow up together. I said, you know, there's nobody on this planet who's going to love your boys more than you. And I understand you thinking about taking your life so that they will have a better life. I get that part. I said, but they need you to stay here and fight for them. And that was my message to her. And I just kind of dwelled on that for a little while. And she hung up and I never heard from her again. So I don't know whatever happened to her, but I hope she listens. But you just never know. And so you have all kinds of influences on people.
Because as radio personality, what it is that because of the love and sincerity within our program and voice, people gravitate to that attention and that care that they feel that we present as radio announcers.
Right.
And most time they're correct. We do care, but we have to be limited on how we present that over the air so that we don't get caught up in situations like that.
Yeah.
So the next question to you will be, who do you reach out to for coverage facing challenges in your life?
Well, I used to reach out to my parents. Believe it or not, family's always been important to me. And now I reach out to my wife if I have some questions and things like that. If it's something professional in the radio business, then I have some people like Joyce Littell and Mitch Faulkner that I bounce things off of because, you know, they've been in the game a long time. I've been in the game for a long time. I trust them. Trust is a major factor because, you know, you don't want to let everybody know your business.
Exactly.
But, so, you know, there a couple of folks, you know, professionally. But I usually keep all my discussions in the family.
Okay.
You know, and
don't ask, don't tell.
Yeah.
In the radio. And actually, that's just across the board.
Yeah.
Because people can take information misdirected and then have you on a bad name.
Oh, particularly these days.
Exactly.
With social media, people want to find something that they can twist to make, to get likes.
Yeah.
Because if they get a bunch of likes, that translates or could translate into money for them. It definitely translates into popularity.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, all of a sudden you got
700 likes.
2 million likes, 2-3 million likes, and then it's been shared 700 times.
Exactly.
So, you know, from that, there are people that would love to just find some dirt, and so that's why I keep mine close to the vest.
Exactly. So, what do you want your legacy to impact at this time?
I really consider my personal legacy to be my son and his family. And personally, I have been diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. And with that, my project at home has been archiving videos, pictures, audio from my shows back in the day, so that my son, his children, grandchildren can all see my wife and I, see our son when he was growing up from a baby to an adult. You know, I want them to be able to access it and enjoy it. So I've been taking the tapes because, you know, kids today don't know what a VHS is.
Exactly.
So you know the next couple of generations.
What's a CD?
Right. What CD, DVD, mini DV, you know,
Yeah.
all those things.
Yeah.
So I've been taking them all and I've been making them digital files
Okay.
for the computer. And that's going to upgrade into something else. Just like we went from 4G to 5G, we'll go to 6 and 10G. Things will always continue to upgrade. So I want them to have the latest format that they can upgrade to. So that's the personal legacy. Professional legacy, we were talking about social media a little while ago. And I think radio at this point in the game, 2021, 2022, is still valid and viable for people who are my age, and a little more seasoned, maybe a little younger. But young people don't care about the radio.
Right, exactly.
Not at all.
They can have more like a playlist.
Yeah.
From the YouTube.
Right. They
Yeah.
create a playlist. It's Spotify or whatever. They create their playlist. They can listen to it without commercials in some cases. And if they don't like what's there, they can just advance it to the next thing.
Exactly.
Radio forces you to listen to the songs that are picked by the program director. You got to listen to the commercials. So radio is a whole different thing. So young people are into their phones and all the things that apps and all that. The problem is radio, as a radio personality, I always felt that I had to be responsible for what I said.
Exactly.
You have to be responsible for what you say and what you do, because it goes past you. You are talking to thousands of people when you get on that mic. And today's people, young people and not so young, they'll get on social media and forget that they're talking to thousands of people. You're not just talking to your family. You're not just talking to your friends. You know, you've done the same thing in concept as going up on top of a building on a windy day with a bag of feathers. You open up the feathers. They go everywhere.
So a friend of mine told me about social media and texting. That's documentation.
Oh, it is.
So you have to be careful what you're putting in a text message and what you're saying, because it could be threatening.
Yeah.
And could create problems for you.
And just that, the way young people communicate these days, they don't want to talk. They want to text.
Right.
And see, I could text you and say, "Dang, it's raining."
Right.
But you don't know if I'm thinking, "Dang, it's raining, so I'm going to stay home today," because I can use that as an excuse.
Right.
Or I'm saying, "Dang, it's raining, I'm missing out on some money." You don't know what my mindset is behind a text. So a lot of young people get themselves in trouble because they'll take a text and they'll run with it based on how they feel right now, and the person who sent the text may have been something totally different.
Exactly.
So it's better to talk, but they don't do that.
Right. But that's called perception. And when you send a generic text, it can be taken out of context.
All day.
And like you said, you know, at saying that you have to be careful, we have to be careful as radio announcers, goes back to that situation with the lady that called who wanted to kill herself with the kids.
Right.
And if you had said the wrong thing, being inconsiderate and not displaying compassion, could have took that in a whole different way.
Could have changed it. Yeah. Could have changed it up.
So what was your mission in radio, and did you accomplish it?
Well, my first mission in radio was to make a couple of dollars. I didn't accomplish that. I made a couple of dollars. I didn't make a lot of money. It's never been. I've never been one of those people who had $1 million contracts that were celebrated. But I was able to make a living, and with the help of my family, I was able to get through it all. But you know, other than that, my accomplishments were my intentions were to be able to reach out to people and sometimes make a difference. There were a couple of episodes and instances where people said they. I remember, long time ago. I got a call from a man who said, "Man, they're about to turn my lights off," and he gave me the apartment complex's number and the manager's name and all that stuff. He said, I just need my lights on, man. I can't be here with my children, and my lights are off. So I asked him how much it was, and every now and then when you go to a couple of nightclubs, you get a few dollars. And I went on over there, and I paid his bill. And when I did that, I remember the manager saying to me, she said, "Man, this is a nice program the radio station has." I'm like, "What program? This is not a program the radio station has." The man just called me. He needed some help, and I was able to help him this time.
Right.
So this time, I'm going to go ahead and pay this bill and get him caught up. So there were things like that happened throughout my 41 years in radio, and I've been appreciative of the opportunity to reach out and touch people. And I really honestly believe because of things like that, in the Christmas season, you always see the movie It's a Wonderful Life. And I really felt like George Bailey, if you know the movie.
Yeah, I recall.
George Bailey, Jimmy Stewart played George Bailey. He'd always given his life, and his life was on hold all the time. And then there was some shenanigans, and he needed some money. And the whole community came through and donated to help him get back on his feet and keep going.
Exactly.
And that's how I felt. I felt like I'm George Bailey because the whole time I'm working, I try to help people. And now that I need a little help, people have been helping me. I mean, the stories are everywhere where they just send me blessings. And I can't do anything but be humble and appreciative that I've been able to connect with so many people that are now sharing blessings with me in my time of need.
And I've learned over the years, myself personally, that the people you think are going to be the ones there,
they're not.
And it's always that way. If you look over life and the situation you've seen in people's lives, and how even if you're in the hospital, it's that one person you be like, "Where you come from?" And they're there.
They're there. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
And my grandmother told me a long time ago that if you just keep the lights on in the house, nobody never know what's going on in it. Because if you get your furniture put out on the street, everybody know. If your lights out, they'll know what's going on. But if you keep the lights on, they don't know if you got hot water or what.
Don't know what other problems you encounter.
Right, exactly. So you have been a blessing to many people, I'm sure. But one in particular that I want to mention is Oscar D. And Oscar D and I, we worked here at WRFG together. And I saw how he got polished and molded to become a professional. We started right here as volunteers. And he was like kind of all over the place at first. But I see how you molded him to make him who he has been in his career as well. So with that, going into talking about the millennials, and with a new young mayor in Atlanta, how do you foresee the city?
Well, I mean, the city has a lot of issues, but all I can do is celebrate the mayor's intentions and what he plans to do, and I hope that he's able to execute some of his plans. I know local government works different from the federal government. A lot of people were disappointed in some of the things Barack Obama couldn't do, but he always had these other people on the other side.
Exactly.
And they publicly said that their goal was not to help their constituents, not to help people, but to make him a one-term president. And it's like, so when do we the people get helped? So I hope that they don't get so bent up in the politics, in Atlanta politics, that they overlook the people that need to be serviced, helped, guided, and governed. So I wish Mayor Andre Dickens the best.
Okay, great. So I guess the closing question would be, what do you want people to know about you?
They pretty much know it all. I don't hide a lot. I just try to do right as often as possible, and I love my family. Family is the most important thing right now.
I know.
When I found out I had pancreatic cancer, the first thing I did was thank God that I didn't get hit by a truck.
Exactly.
That I have a little bit of warning, before something is expected to happen. And who knows? I mean, God is the only one that knows.
Exactly.
Whether I had 6 weeks or 16 years.
Exactly.
But at least I have a warning of a situation in my body that's fighting against me. And I was thankful to get that warning so I could get some things in order.
Exactly. And it's ironic you said that, because most people wait to the last minute and get a warning before they make that preparation.
Right.
Because we're so afraid to make the preparation, because then it's like we're putting limitation on the time.
Yeah.
But who's to say when time is, like they tell me, give time.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate this interview with you. I've always wanted to do it, just didn't know how to bring it together. And I just want to say these words to you, that there's no price on kindness, and your act to support is priceless. I want to thank you for your professionalism and desire to make dreams come true, because you certainly made mine happen. And like you said, we don't know. We just try to take each day
and live it
to the fullest. And I know that before pancreatic cancer, family was important to you.
Oh, always.
Yeah, because I call you on Sunday. Hey, Simon, Loretta, this is my family time. So
Yep.
So I know, how that.
You have to carve it out.
Yeah.
I always tell people you have to make some dates with your wife. And I've been married close to 30 years. You have to make some dates with your wife, and you have to commit some time for your family.
Exactly.
Otherwise, you won't take it.
Well, it's called finding balance.
Yeah.
In such a busy life that we've lived,
Right.
And I want you to know, never believe your journey is minimum. Always believe your dreams are destined.
Very
Thank you
nice.
for a wonderful interview. I really appreciate that. Thank you all for tuning in to What's Happening on These Streets. I'm Loretta Phelps, and until the next episode, be safe. What's Happening in These Streets is a program designed and created to talk with the unknown soldiers of yours and my community. Their gifts has been rewarding to the old and new by providing sources and resources to fulfill the needs of the people. You can find me at basementpartysociety.com BPS Live Video. Take time to view as you learn about what's happening in these streets.